with how I got the guys ready for battle. I can't go out like that. So Travis Kelce planning on coming back, at least for the 2025 season. Meanwhile, in his first public statement in almost a month, Ravens kicker Justin Tucker disputed the allegations of sexual misconduct at spas for a second time, in addition to offering an apology. Quote, "It devastates me to know that anyone I've worked with would not have felt respected and valued as a professional, but more importantly, as a person. To anyone who has felt otherwise, I am sorry."
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Welcome, everybody. It's Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports on 710 and seattlesports.com. Happy Thursday to everybody out there on a beautiful day once again, and hopefully everybody's having a great day. Rode the motorcycle in today, Dave.
Yeah.
Had to take advantage of the weather.
It's been a long time since you rode the motorcycle.
Well, I was kicking myself for not riding yesterday. I didn't realize it was going to be that warm, and then I went for it today. So could be another couple months before I'm able to get back on it. It'll be raining and cold again before we know it. So taking advantage of the weather.
Well, when I went out this morning to throw dead mice into the garbage can that was on the curb.
Why do you hate mice?
I don't.
Well, I guess most people
Oliver
seem to.
hates them.
Yeah.
And he presents them, and so I end up stepping on them a lot of times when I go out into the garage. But yeah,
So if they weren't dead, you made them dead.
They are dead now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I walked out there. I was like, wow, hopefully it's like this warm and down in Scottsdale or Peoria.
Were you thinking, I could do some yard work today?
No.
Okay. I just felt like this weather would trigger the green thumb in you.
Yeah, I got to get back in shape on that one. But yeah, it's nice and warm, and we'll see. Hopefully, we get this down there. I mean, I think the expectations are always like, if it's a bad day in Peoria, it's probably still 65.
Yeah.
65, 70 degrees.
Yeah, if we get that, it just don't give us that one day.
Yeah.
That was a rough day for any place. It was cold,
Well, I remember when
windy and rainy.
When I lived down there, it was almost like a treat when it rained. Or if there was like a storm or something like that, because it was always sunny down there. But don't feel that way about it now.
Yeah. We'll be down there next week. Brock and Salk are down there this week, and we're going to speak with Brock Heward coming up at 2:30. He'll join us live from Peoria, Arizona, get his take on everything that's going on out there in spring training. Randy Sullivan, a guy we've had on the show before. He is the pitching coach, tutor. He's a guy who's been working with Logan Gilbert since he was 15 years old. He's the CEO of the Florida Baseball Armory, and he works with him every offseason, talks to him during the season. And again, we've talked to Randy before, really good guy. So we'll talk to him about Logan and what he's doing now. And
Loves Logan.
Everybody loves Logan.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this guy.
Oh, yeah. He talks about him like it's one of his children.
I like how at the end of the interview, we just had a little chat with him, and he was like, well, we're just glad that Logan was accepted up there in the big city. And it was like he was a little, country mouse that was going to get eaten alive in the big city.
Major League Baseball would eat him alive. Yeah. And here he is, an all-star and an ace. So we'll talk to Randy Sullivan at 3 o'clock. Highly recommend you tuning in for that. And, of course, it is Thursday at 4 o'clock. We will talk with John Schneider, president of football operations for your Seattle Seahawks, general manager as well, joining us live from the Combine. So we'll get an update from him on what's going on out there. Do we know if we have him on video, Lefko? Have we determined that? Or
we'll see when he connects.
It's going to be a game time decision.
Game time decision.
Are they aware that video is available?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
You doubting the fine minds of the Seahawks organization, Dave? Their technology prowess? No.
They got a lot going on. They're
do.
looking at play. They're not worried about Wyman and Bob. They're out there evaluating the future of their franchise out there. So tune in at 4. Either way, he'll be on the air with us. And if you tune in on the video stream, maybe he's there, maybe he's not. We'll see what happens. But we'll talk to John Schneider at 4 p.m. Meanwhile, Cal Raleigh was a guest of Brock and Salk, and he's a guy that obviously we all love. And I don't know if anybody loves him as much as Dave does, but we're all a close second.
I don't even really like him that much. I don't know what the deal is. Who doesn't love Cal?
I think you love him. I think you love him.
Oh, you're in love with him. Don't make it awkward down there when we go down there, please.
I won't. Wouldn't it be weird if he were hanging out with Cliff Averill? Dave and I'd be
We
sitting
could
there
go on
going,
a-
he's so cool.
We
Is
could
he
go
cool?
on a double date.
Not awkward at all. Hey guys, what are you doing later? You want to hang out? But Cal was on with Brock and Salk, and yeah, he's been spectacular to say the very least. Platinum Glove Award winner this past season, over 30 home runs the past 2 years, clutch. Great defender back there. I mean, he just does everything well. He just does everything well. And he was asked if there's more for him to tap into.
No, there's more. I believe so. I believe I can. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You know, you look at striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. Even the catching side of it. Throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and it's just realizing that you also don't want to lose the things you're good at. So going out there and keeping things I'm good at, but also kind of accounting for early in the off season, like, all right, these are kind of the areas I need to improve on. This is what I kind of road I want to take.
He's got, I would say that's true throughout the team, and some are more extreme like Logan, but the work ethic.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody out there that you look at and go, man, I bet the coaches have to light a fire under this guy and get him going. I mean, from Julio to Cal to Logan to everybody, it just seems like everybody takes a great deal of pride in what they do, and nobody's like, oh, I made it, I'm making millions, I'm fine. Everybody's just looking for that edge, especially Logan, looking for that edge, whether it's a new toy to put in the bag, a new approach. How do I get better? And that, for me as a fan, Dave, I just have so much respect for players like that are just constantly trying to improve, whether it works or not. I just love the fact that Logan's looking for a new toy. Yeah,
Right.
Hey, this is supposed to help me with whatever. Cool. I love that you're taking that next step. And Cal is a guy who maybe doesn't have all the gadgets, but he's got that same mentality of, no way, I can improve here, I can do this better, I can do that better, and I need to figure that part out.
Yeah, and it just seems like him and Logan both. I wonder if they even take like an off season. I mean, I think Cal was talking. We might get to it, but as far as like getting back into shape because he was so beat up and everything. But I think more than anything, it's just the mental discipline for him. Grinding through being a catcher and all the bumps and bruises and things like that you get, and then going out there every single day. That dude is as intense as anybody. Mm-hmm. And you can see he's very businesslike every single day. So what a great position to have nailed down.
Yeah, and here he is talking about what you just touched on how he works to get ready for a long, grueling season.
To me, it's just you got to get ready for the season. You got to be in that kind of shape to not just only perform in one game, but perform back to back and kind of get into that mode of, because I think a lot of times guys come into spring training and they're like, oh, I feel great, I feel amazing, but you're also taking days off in between, and you're also well rested. You're not traveling thousands of miles. You're not getting on planes, getting in at 3 a.m. So it's really almost forcing yourself, even when you don't feel good, having that kind of discipline to train, to work, and to show up each day and playing games, even when things don't quite feel all that right. Because, I mean, that's the majority of the games. I mean, there's very rarely, I think maybe the first couple games of the year is like, oh, yeah, I feel great. And then after that, no. You don't feel great. So it's just all that stuff, and just training yourself, your mind and your body to be ready for those games, and be ready for that kind of beating. And it's not just the catchers. I mean, even the infielders, outfielders, pitchers. You got to go out there and perform even when you don't feel good.
Brock knows all about what he's talking about there as a prima donna quarterback.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. We'll talk more about Cal. There's more from him in that conversation coming up. Meanwhile, Mike McDonald mentioned one free agent that is critical for the Seahawks to re-sign, and it's not the one you might think. We'll get into that next with Wyman and Bob at Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball.
Our goal really is to come out of spring training and to play that consistent brand of baseball from beginning to end.
Go behind the scenes with Brock and Salk as the Seattle Mariners get ready for the 2025 season. All this week from 6 to 10.
What a masterful performance by the big right-hander Logan Gilbert.
And hear every pitch of spring training baseball on Seattle Sports. Streaming on the Seattle Sports app.
Holy smokes.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi, my daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal and auto pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
When you're in the thick of a project, Harbor Freight is the place that always comes in handy. Whether you're picking up something for your pickup truck or a power tool for your project, at Harbor Freight, your dollar always goes further. And these days, when everything seems to cost more, you can take pride in knowing that you get hard-working tools at hard-working prices. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account imported on $60 plan. First service charge and tax to its sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I started Davis Law Group in 1994 to fight for the underdog. And as our team has grown, we've stayed true to that mission. Today, Davis Law Group is known for providing excellent service and even better results. Visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com to get your free book on car accident law.
Your favorite Seattle sports show is available anywhere you go through the Seattle Sports app. Brought to you by Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center Proton Therapy. Full shows and interviews, exclusive video and articles from the home of the Seahawks and Mariners. The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Cougar basketball is back.
These guys want to get better at basketball. They want to go as far as they can in the game. They want to get their education. They want to be around each other and build a real family.
Coach Riley and the Cougs are ready.
We put in so much work all of our lives for this exact moment.
We are Wazoo. It's only on your home for Cougar basketball.
Catch the Cougs all season long on AM 770 KTTH. This hour is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Text line is there for you at 866-979-3776, powered by Mac and Jack's Brewing Company. If you've got any Gilligan's Island trivia to throw Dave's way, he's ready. He is ready. He's up to speed.
Don Wells, Miss Nevada.
Up to speed
From
on
Reno, Nevada.
Gilligan Island trivia. He was dazzling us during the break there, and then we started talking about Star Trek and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's just weird to think of such monumental shows in pop culture like Gilligan's Island and Star Trek that one was 3 seasons and the original Star Trek was like only 2 seasons, 2 or 3.
2 seasons got canceled by one network, brought back for a third on another.
Wow.
And it's like this legendary show that's obviously spawned movies and other series, and it's amazing that it didn't run that long. Meanwhile, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is still running, and it started in 2005.
16 seasons.
You know, Gilligan's Island, the beginning song was like "And the Rest," and then they started saying "The Professor and Mary Ann."
Oh,
but
they changed the
weren't
song.
They did,
Oh.
and it went from black and white to color.
Goodness. See? Go ahead. Try them with your Gilligan's Island trivia. I dare you. All right. We got Brock Heward going to join us at 2:30 live from Peoria, Arizona. Before we get into that, let's take 2.
Well, the NFL announced the official salary cap number, $279.2 million. That's up $23.8 million from last year, and now nearly $100 million more in just 4 years since the league went down. They took a dip in 2021 to account for lost COVID revenue, so keeps growing, $279.2 million this season.
That's great news, right? Especially for teams that are like the Seahawks, who are over the cap. Gives you a little more room to work with. Maybe they don't have to make quite as many moves to get cap compliant, but I think as we talked to John last week, and again we'll talk to John Schneider at 4 p.m., I think they had an idea roughly of what they were going to be working with, so they were working accordingly.
Well, and I don't think it was that difficult. I mean, you were probably most teams were able to estimate somewhere within a couple of $1 million, and you know, and again, it's not like, hey, newfound money, let's go. I mean, they've worked this in. They knew it was coming. Hey, look, this is part of our calculations. But how long till it gets to $1 billion?
Another decade?
It's ridiculous.
Another decade?
Yeah,
This is a money machine.
maybe.
Matt didn't want to hear that answer. So.
He wasn't interested
$1 billion?
in the answer.
No, it's too much to fathom. But yeah, it keeps growing. So,
That's fine. I don't care. You can do that whenever you want me to shut up, Matt. That little noise there.
He's going, oh, I will.
That's good to know. Okay. We'll have that ready in case we need you to
I
stop
didn't say
talking.
we,
Dave.
Lefko.
Okay, just
Said
Matt.
Matt.
Have that ready.
Lefko, you do it. There's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, Adam Schefter reports that the Chiefs will franchise tag Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith, who is expected to hit free agency. Who's going to be the top free agent guard on the market. So the franchise tag for guards this season, $23.4 million.
For a guard that you can go pick up on the street, Dave.
It's too much money.
Get a bum off the freeway or whatever your coach said to
Bum
you.
off the freeway. Give me a tackle.
$23.4 million for an upper echelon guard.
It's amazing. Well, we talked about the economics of it.
All right. Were you still talking? Sorry. I thought we were done.
See, you gave him the green light, and he just went through it like a maniac.
All right, you know what? I'm not going to say anything the rest of the show. Starting now.
No.
No. But yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to see the economics play out. And, you know, I think John thinks that it's still going to be too much money chasing not very good talent. You know, that as far as guard play. The thing is, though, you've got like, I wonder if there's like a gold standard. Maybe that's what we'll ask John, you know. What's the gold standard of guard play? I mean, there has to be a few that are really good, but he's obviously just talking about the market in general.
Yeah.
Right. There's not a lot of depth there.
Well, yeah, there's a scarcity, and every team, he talks about how that's almost the given portion of the conversation with other GMs. Like, yeah, the O-line guards, we just start and then move on. Everybody's looking for it.
Right.
It's like, it's not a novel thing. Like, hey, you know what? We're in the market for a guard. Yeah.
Right.
So is every other team outside of the Eagles and the Lions.
Right. Yeah, and so, you want my best guard? Okay, it's going to cost you this much,
Yeah.
and that's going to go up, and we'll see. But I think it'll be interesting to see, like, all right, who's like Steve Hutchinson? I mean, guy was a Hall of Famer as a guard, and I just don't remember it being that important, other than he was next to Walter Jones, and you pretty much knew that you were going to pick up a first down every single time you ran the ball behind those two.
Take Two is brought to you by Swedish Cyberknife. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Meanwhile, a little bit of news coming out of the Combine. According to our guy Bob Condota, head coach Mike McDonald mentioned to Seattle reporters that he thinks both sides want to get a deal done. And by both sides, I mean the Seahawks and Jaron Reed. How about that?
Yeah.
Looking to bring him back. And Daniel Jeremiah, who was on with Brock and Salk, talked about just the depth that's out there as far as defensive line talent, saying you should avoid going to free agency to find it.
Defensive line, I would not feel the need to spend one penny in free agency on the defensive line. With the draft that we have, as deep as it is on the front, I'm not going to devote any dollars there. And they've already got a really good start with what they have, the pieces there. I'm just adding depth to it. I was talking to a buddy in Philadelphia with the Eagles, and this is a while back, and we were talking about some of the other top defensive lines in the league, and comparing this team's starting four versus their starting four. And he goes, yeah, but our next starting four are almost as good as their starting four. Like, you can make a case and say their starting four versus our starting four. We got four more guys behind those guys. That's the difference between the Eagles and everybody else. Like, it's just waves of dudes. And this is a draft, to me, just keep adding to it. Just keep going back to that well.
Well, I don't think that there's anybody in that second string defensive line in Philly that's better than Big Cat.
Yeah.
Sorry. But, maybe, where if you look at Byron Murphy, how he played, he was a rookie.
Yeah.
So he didn't play great. But, yeah, I think there's lots of good reasons to keep Jaron Reed. So, I think, number one, you have to have a guy that's kind of a bully on your D-line, and he's just a good, solid player, and I think he wants to be here.
All right, coming up, we think he's doing more than just judging people's bodies. Do we think that? Do we really think that?
We don't.
We'll hear from Brock Hewitt about what he has actually been doing out at Mariner Spring Training. He's going to join us next with Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports on 710.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Our opportunity to sit down with the catcher, Cal Raleigh. Is this the ceiling, or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You look at like striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. Even the catching side of it, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and you also don't want to lose the things you're good at.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and, of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great. At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all. And super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone! Okay, I'll switch. Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax due at sale. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
Hey, Brock Ewart here. And as a former college and professional player and quarterback in particular, the years of wear and tear and some of those hits left my knee and some of my body in some constant pain. On and off the field, the weight room, all those heavy squats and all of it. In fact, my knee was really bothering me last year. That's why I decided to try stem cell injection therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson at Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine over there in Kirkland. And really, it was an awesome decision. With Dr. Dan, the procedure itself was so quick and easy. In and out, same day. Next day, I'm out watching football practice, a baseball game, and the staff was absolutely A+. And my knee, well, it's a whole lot better now, and I'm back to squatting and enjoying a much better quality of life. Call Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD, with Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. Over 30 years of experience. No one, and I mean no one, has more experience in pain medicine techniques. You can reach him at 425-823-4000. That's 425-823-4000 or DanielNelsonMD.com.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people, and we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships, because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck, and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees, because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Hey, do you like spending extra money? Who doesn't, right? No, nobody does, and especially when it's on something like your utility bills, right? If those are noticeably higher in the winter or your home feels drafty, it could be because your attic and crawl space aren't properly insulated. It's Mike Salk here, and utility companies have special incentives to help with the cost of having your home properly insulated, including a once-in-a-lifetime rebate from Puget Sound Energy. So if you're a PSC customer and your home was built before 1990, you may qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. Yeah, they'll cover up to 95% of the cost. So don't wait. Take advantage of an incredible rebate today. Call Crawl Pros and learn what's going on behind that crawl space and attic hatch for free, and also what energy rebates you're eligible for. These guys are great. Did an awesome job at my house. So if you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Spring training well underway. Brock and Salk have been out there this week. We're going to be out there next week. And joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, a man who took one for the team, took a missile off of his knee, and he still played through the pain because he's a warrior, and he's with us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. You know who he is. Brock Heward is with us. How are you, man?
Yeah, me and Warrior very rarely put in the same sentence, Bob. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Why do you got to steal my thunder?
Also,
Why do you got to steal that from me, Brock? You knew I was going to say something like that.
I was a little quicker to the draw, but I will tell you this, too. I nearly wiped out this old woman here at the Fry's Shopping Center, knowing I had to get back in the car, get my groceries, and cooking the crew dinner tonight. And people don't move real fast down here in Arizona. A lot of them don't. And I came whipping around the corner trying to find the Lipton soup mix for my potatoes, and Grandma nearly died. I mean, I put the brakes on, thankfully, but it was nearly a collision at home plate.
Oh boy, that doesn't end well for her.
The good thing down there, though, really extra wide parking spots.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
That is very true, Dave. Yeah.
Hey, Brock, we were playing some cuts from Cal Raleigh. You guys had a chance to sit down and talk with him. And I got to ask, somebody text this in, and it may be a joke. So we played a clip of the question apparently was, hey, is there more there? Is there more you can achieve? Something along those lines. He gave the answer about, I could be better here. But somebody said, you're missing Brock's awkward question to that clip. Was there an awkward question? Did you phrase it as they said here? Is there more in the dumper?
That's pretty much what I said. And he said, what? Say what?
Brock, are you ruining it for us? We're going to get down there, and Cal's not going to come on with us because of you.
Is there more in the dumper?
No, quite the opposite. I think he really liked it, and then he's going to even like you guys more. Now, you got to, if you're just standard fare, ask the same question. Come on.
Yeah.
I try to think of a new way to say what more is in the tank, and I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? What's more in the dumper? And then when it came out of my mouth, I'm like, probably could have framed it better.
Oh, that is so good.
Bob, I don't know if you guys were doing the show when we had Jim Gaffigan, the great comedian, on the show.
Right.
And I had heard of him, but one of my buddies really knew him, and so I was calling him to try to get some stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah, he had this great thing on Hot Pockets. Do you remember this?
Yeah, Hot Pockets.
It was about the same answer. Very awkward, like what happened to the Hot Pockets? And he's like, what happened to what? What? And that was pretty much what Cal gave me too. So, why not what? Yeah.
Well, what stood out to you? What did you go down there wanting to see most? What were you most curious about as you were heading down to spring training?
Well, probably to compare and contrast, 9 years of Scott Service spring trainings that we've been fortunate, you guys and us have been fortunate to go down to. And this is the first with Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez led spring training. And Edgar is very, very present. I know during the season he may not be in the dugout for every game. I don't know how much he'll travel, but he is omnipresent here with Dan, as is Alvin and Kevin Seitzer, very hands-on. So I would say, Bob, just trying just to look kind of at the optics, if I could feel, if I could sense, if I could hear, if it was different, kind of like training camp with Mike McDonald this year versus 14 years of Pete. It's a long time with Scott Service, a long time with Pete Carroll, and I would say it's different. Temperatures turned down just a little bit. They're not meeting. They don't have a meeting every morning. There's a little more time for, I think, the guys to spend together, watching a lot of that with the veteran players and the young players. You guys will notice right away there's a lot more seating. They've created a bunch of lounge areas right by our picnic table as well as in the batting cages. And I think they're doing that to just kind of create some of that fraternization and what I call connective tissue. And so there are going to be some differences, and I think you guys next week will feel them as well.
Hey, Brock, I feel like for the franchise, I mean, they really took it on the chin during the free agency period and didn't, I know it's not over yet, but, a lot of people saying, oh, this team doesn't want to win. But I don't know. It seems like since spring training, lots of credit to them as far as developing players. They're talking about locking, Cal down to a long-term type of contract. And then just, it kind of brings into focus the guys that they have developed, particularly that rotation and, and just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've gone a long ways to sort of repairing all of that anger, maybe not, but, that came from the offseason of them not doing anything.
Yeah, and I don't know, Dave, if it's certainly not on their part like any narrative they're putting out. They're not putting out press clippings, and
Right.
we had Justin Hollander on the first day. I'm sure you guys will chat with him as well. Maybe Jerry DePoto. So maybe you'll hear from them. But it's just a whole lot more of what your eyes once again get to see, which is elite pitching. It's kind of like a football team. It's got an elite something, and then maybe the other aspect of it, the complementary aspect, isn't nearly as elite, and it stands out that much more. But, when you watch these guys pitch and you watch their bullpens and you see some of these creatures and you're reminded of what they do have, in a Santos and a Brash and these guys at the back end of it, plus a plethora of all these other bullpen arms that a few of them are going to stick. So I think you're just reminded of the elite nature of the arms on this roster, and maybe that masks and certainly quiets some of the storm that was of the offseason.
Yeah.
We asked Salk this when he joined us, and I'll ask you the same question. What's your level of confidence in this infield? Because there's platoons at a couple of spots. You got a guy at third base who's had 20 starts as a third baseman in his entire career and was a bit of a flop last year as a second baseman.
So many opportunities.
Oh, so many opportunities for improvement, Brock. JP coming off a very down year. So we'll see Rayleigh, Solano platoon, Dylan Moore, Ryan Bliss, Leo Rivas at second. How are you feeling about the infield?
Well, first of all, a question back at you, if you wouldn't mind. Does Salk give good guests?
Yeah.
He likes to brag about giving good guests. Does he give good guests when he comes on?
He's a good guest. Yeah, I'd say he's solid.
He's a good guest.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All right, good. I'll reinforce that.
Well, mostly because you don't have to spend 4 hours with him. It's just a very limited amount of time, so everybody wins.
Got you. I would say to Dave's question about development, that to me is where I kind of have the most intrigue. And when you guys get down here and you get your eyes on Ty Locklear and Cole Young and obviously Emerson and Celestine, those guys are years away. But those that are knocking at the door, Williamson, who we had on our show and we taped today, we'll play him tomorrow. Kind of a shy guy when it came to the radio, but, man, just an unbelievable defensive player. Bob, I'll answer that and say I would love personally to raise my hand or applaud the development and really hope that Ty Locklear, after that cup of coffee last year, is like, ooh, I'm going to tear not only the spring cover off the ball. When I get to Tacoma, I'm going to kick the door down again, and they're just not going to hold me back. Cole Young, who's been bothered by an arm, unfortunately, so hasn't gotten to play in the field, but you see it in the cage, and you see the optimism for a bat that's, super, super solid, and a guy that's knocking at the door. And a Williamson, as I said, who's defense. So if you were to tell me they're going to run out 150 games of Solano Rayleigh, 150 games of Polanco, 150 games of JP and Dylan and Bliss, and that's it, and then I'd be probably a little anxious about the amount of productivity. But I think there are a few guys knocking at that door, and I hope they kick it down.
Hey, Brock, who is a guy like we just from listening, it sounds like Bryce Miller is just all of a sudden, boom, became a pro. Yep. I mean, the way he's answering questions and just how he sounds, is he the guy that, who has caught your eye?
Far, yeah, I'd say far this week that's fair. Yeah. Last year that was Logan, and he took steps the previous 2 years, and then last year, like, whoa, grown into his body, grown into his features, which Grandma Peg told me one day I would do with my big lips and forehead. It's not happened yet, but she's promising me it will someday.
You just hang in there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Last year it was Logan for me that really was like, yeah, he's a man, and obviously the production followed, but just comfortable in his skin and not his first time around or second time around. Yeah, and I would say the same for Bryce in this camp. He is a thoughtful guy. He is an instigator, which is right up my alley. I love that. He's just, he kind of walks around cocksure of himself, as he should, because his second half was nails. And even in totality, he was a sub-3 ERA guy on the season. So, yeah, I would say that's a very accurate observation from afar, Dave, and just listening, that he is kind of done what Logan did last year, and wouldn't that be great if he too does the same and becomes an all-star like Logan did in 24?
Hey, just in looking at Julio, he's obviously the straw that stirs the drink. He's the most important player on this team, and everybody's waiting for him to turn into that superstar. We see it in spurts. We see it in a 5-week run here and a 5-week run there. Does he look any different? Does he carry himself any different? I don't know if you've had a chance to watch him in the cage. Yep. Does a stroke look any different? What's your read on Julio so far?
Yeah, it's funny, Bob. I was just watching him today, spending some extra time in there with Edgar and Seitzer and those guys, and he was actually did a whole bunch of talking to Laz Montez, who's just a giant defensive end of a man and a fun guy to watch, who's got just great young energy and charisma to him as well. I don't want to bias this at all, so maybe we'll chat after you guys experience it for the week. But I did say it to Salk on the air today. There's a little more of an edge to Julio, just a little more of a he's still a fun-loving spirit. There's no question. He loves the fans. None of that's going to change. But I wouldn't be surprised. And we saw just a little blip the other day with the umpire, right? And I don't know. There's just going to be – and we'll play the interview tomorrow. We taped it. Maura tried to erase it thanks to the gods there and the technology people. They were able to recover it through the video. So we'll play it tomorrow. But you're going to hear him talk about, there were times he was trying to say things and do things that really wasn't him. And he wants to just be more of him. And I don't know if he's alluding to Scott Service asking him to try to do some things. I don't know if that's his management or people, or he has so many folks pulling at him in every direction. But I think you guys will sense what I certainly have, and I think what Salk has too. And that's like a little, there's fun, but there's going to be an edge. And I kind of even asked him about that, like how you walk that line between fun and focus, that tension that I think a guy like him has, who has this childlike joy to play, but you got to have that like piss and vinegar and intensity and focus and 162 battles, and I'm tired of being short. So I felt a little bit of that, and I bet you as the competition heats up, there's going to be a little more of intensity out of 44 this season.
Yeah, that's kind of hard for him, right? Because he's naturally that way, happy and joyful playing, but if somebody sees him being that way when they think he's slumping or whatever, I guess it doesn't really go over too well.
It doesn't play great, but what if you go into it, Dave, with a little bit more of that from the jump? Like, I'm not going to wait till a struggle or adversity, but I'm just going to and Dan Wilson has pointed to that a little bit. Like, you know what? This isn't lose a battle to win a war. It is battle and battle and battle. And, we're tired of losing and tired of playing terrible and starting slow for a bunch of the guys. So, yeah, as I said, I'll let you guys will feel that. There'll be another week of games. As you know, things kind of ramp up through this. It'll be great that you guys follow right on the heels of us. But I'll be curious if you don't feel, Dave, a little linebacker. I guess a little less quarterback and a little more linebacker. And that might not be a bad thing.
Okay. Hey, we were talking about all the different, what ifs. What do you think is the most likely? Garver becomes a great DH. Dylan Moore is able to be an everyday second baseman. JP makes a comeback. There's lots of them.
There are.
I feel like Garver maybe is the most realistic, but what do you think?
Yep.
That one?
Yeah, I would. Of those three, I would probably lean into that because he was so bad last year. He was $174. I mean, it was really, really rock bottom in a way that he had not. And he'd been up and down in his career, but never that down. And now, as Shannon Dreyer said to us the other day, he's coming into this camp and he knows his role. Is he a catcher last year? Should he catch a little bit? He's never been a full-time DH. And this year, obviously, he's going to be the backup catcher, and he's going to DH, and he's going to kind of split those duties, and he knows it. He's got a little grumpy bear to him. I think he knows the struggle that was last year. I think he knows the expectations that come with actually being one of the rare free agents that gets paid a good amount of money. And I would, Dave. Now, is that back to 2 years ago in Texas? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But, just even a 250 guy, even a a 725 OPS guy, just a 20 home run guy, just kind of paying off the investment that they put into him financially. That would be the ones you mentioned. That'd probably be the one that I would put my money on as well.
Where are you at with Victor Robles? For me, he's the most curious of players going into the season because he was so impactful in 77 games, 30 stolen bases, 1 caught stealing, an on base of almost 400. You know, well over 3. I mean, I don't hold him to those numbers. I don't think that who he's going to be over 162, but he's just a different vibe. He brings it. He's very animated. He's just got a different edge to him.
Yep.
What's he been like out there? What's your takeaway from what you've seen?
Well, he's the one that if he worked the NFL draft with you and Dave, he would get the glares that I get on draft day because he's a little hyper. You know, he gets a little, he gets a little animated. You know, he jumps over the hurdles. He, makes some funny sounds. He's got a lot of juice. He's in the cage, and he's usually with Julio. It's usually Randy and Julio. It's kind of that blonde triumvirate from the outfield that kind of are in their BP group together or in the cage quite a bit together. And yeah, he's got a lot of fun-loving spirit to him. He's loud. His bat's pretty loud, to be honest with you. You know, you get down here in these sessions and you see why he was such a highly thought of prospect. He's got pretty good tools, and he's got really fast hands, and he's got kind of that Gene Segura stance. You know, he's the only one.
Yeah.
That I see with those hands that are almost at waist level. There was a baseball team from Woodinville, 12U team that was there, and a former Mariner is helping coach that team, so they were kind of watching behind the scenes, and it was funny just listening to them around the cages. Okay, yeah, that's Robles. Look at his hands. You could tell by his stance. That's definitely Robles. You know, like he definitely stands out. He's unique. He brings a lot of juice and a lot of energy. And I think a guy, for as much as people want to point to Edgar for Julio, I think Edgar was a pretty good voice for him as well. I want to say Segura, but I think he was a pretty good voice for Robles as far as the end of the season, put the ball in play, use the big field, keep it simple, and he's got pretty unique hands, and hopefully those hands can keep it going.
Brock, I feel like the most beloved sort of personality combination is somebody who's just a killer on the field and then a sweetheart off the field. And we kind of all we really know about Dan Wilson is, that he's just the nicest guy in the world. But there are a couple of things. I think I heard 1 or 2 things where like, hey, don't be fooled by his demeanor. Like he's got a little bit of that cold-blooded killer in him.
He's got a little bit of that old school catcher in him. And obviously Scott had some of that as well. I mean, Scott was a tough sucker too, but Dan very, very similar in that way. And then, just kind of has the word I would say is just kind of that kindness. He told us yesterday that one of his pillars and one of the first things that he wanted to communicate was actually having grace, which you don't normally associate like grace with, this toughness and hard-nosed and all of that. But it's a grace. There's honesty, and there's going to be an intensity. Like when it's go time, it's go time. And he has not backed away from that. Hey, it's going to be 162 battles. And that game in mid-April or that game in May, we're not going to give it away, And I know everybody says it, and I know it was talked about a lot last year after coming up a game short. But back-to-back seasons, coming up a game short, I think that is very much Dan Wilson. Kind, everybody loves him. What a man. But behind the scenes, there also is an intensity that was stoked by Lou Piniella, playing for Lou Piniella, the demands of Lou Piniella. And probably not a surprise we see Jay Buhner back. As I mentioned, Edgar around, Dan's around, a lot of guys that had a lot of touch points with Lou Piniella back in the day.
Did you notice how he squeezed in the song lyrics there? What a man, what a man.
Yeah, I did.
It's very sly. Very sly, this procurator.
A little bit creepy.
Yeah.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty, mighty good man.
Stop it.
That's what Dave Wyman. What a man, what a man, what a man. Isn't that what you guys do? Don't you do that?
Yeah, before every show. That's what we do. Hey,
the walk-up music on Fridays at Edgar's. Is it not in the canteen? No?
That's what they play when they see him pull into the parking lot. Hey, J.P. Crawford is a guy that we talk about in that. Yeah, he's got to improve. He was. It was not a good year for him even prior to the injury last year. But I feel like this is a big year for him just to prove he should remain your starting shortstop. He gets written in there in pen, and there's really no question that he's the guy. But I don't know. You got a lot of young shortstops in this minor league system that are going to be knocking on the door. And to me, this is something that hasn't been talked about a lot. But I think this feels like kind of a make or break year for J.P. Crawford. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah. No, this is. I think this is a big season. Obviously, a couple years ago, that 5.5 WAR breakout season after Driveline, hitting the home runs, just like wow. What a return on investment. While everybody else paid hundreds of millions for Correa and Trey and those guys, there was JP making, still good money, but nowhere near those guys. And the return on investment was off the charts. Yeah. And then last season was very, very rough. I would say when we asked Coach Kevin Seitzer, the hitting coach, say, hey, give us a couple guys. I'm sure you want to work with everybody, but who are a couple guys that you think in particular for your style, what you've seen as you've studied their at-bats a year ago to kind of get yourself ready? JP was number 2 on his list. And I think a lot of that is his ability to handle the bat, to put the ball in play, to hit the ball the other way. I've certainly seen a focus on it behind the scenes in BP. That's part of the reason I got a knot on my knee still, is even Cal Raleigh working on putting the ball the other way. And it was his little duck fart that decided to go foul and hit me in the knee. But you do watch JP do a lot of that, and there's some oohs and ahs of his line drives into left center and his ability to handle that bat. So, yeah, if Edgar was great for Robles and was tremendous for Julio, let's hope that Seitzer can be like Driveline was for JP 2 years ago.
All right, so Julio, the most important player probably. Robles, as Bob put it, most curious. I am very curious to see what happens. But who's just your favorite? Who's your favorite that you love, either talking to or, as far as a player and what they add to the team? You have one?
Yeah, Dave, I like to, when I'm in my production meetings with these college football players or coaches, I like to say, who's the player that you could sit on the flight to Seattle, like cross country? Yeah. Who's somebody you just enjoy? And I kind of use that context with your question, and it's Logan. For me, it's Logan is the pitcher, and then it's Cal is a positional player. I think those two, and I ran into James Clifford, the old linebacker for the Huskies, strength coach for a long time for the Mariners. He's now with the Giants, and he was there with the Giants today. I ran into him in the hallway as he was seeing a lot of old friends at the Mariners, and I just said to Clifford, I said, man, I don't know. I really, really enjoy Cal and Logan. And he's like, yeah, they're two of the best dudes ever. Like they are just, you don't get better than those two guys. And I'd probably point to those two of being guys that they just do everything right, man, and they care about others, and they've gained trust, and they're tough suckers, and they're wonderful competitors. Kind of your point, Dave, about Dan, right, that the most beloved players are those that have that killer instinct and then are, get off the field, and guys want to be with them and hang with them. And Walter on the field, what Logan's alter ego turns into is just a ferocious competitor. And Cal brings that out in him. And yet I think Cal is also a guy that manages everybody very, very well.
All right, quickly, before we let you go, what do you got coming up tomorrow? Who are you guys talking to?
Well, you'll hear Julio, and so we taped him, and you'll hear that. And yeah, there's some good stuff there, as I mentioned, of the tension between the fun and the focus. And he's tired of losing, and his belief in some of the people around that maybe others did not have this off season. So we had a good 20 minutes with Julio. Thankfully, he had sunglasses on, so I didn't get lost in his emerald green eyes and make anything awkward. So that was good. It was good. So he kept his glasses on. It was great in that way. I think we're going to have maybe Jeff Passan in person. He's going to be at the Mariners facility tomorrow, so that will be great. We taped with Williamson. He was fun. Definitely very, very young, very young. But we'll try to get him on. And then, golly, I mean, the highlight of tomorrow is reacting to you and Dave and what you guys do every week with Mr. Schneider coming up later in the show. So go crush it today, all right?
All right. So, hey, I know we don't have time for this, so text me what your question is to John Schneider. What would you ask him?
Oh.
Don't do something obnoxious, okay?
I got to go find my Lipton soup mix, and once I do that and get back in the car, Dave, I will do that. I'll try. I'll see what I got.
Thanks, Brock.
Ask Snyder how much more he's got left in his dumper. Okay, got to go.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Brock.
There you go. There's Brock Heward talking about getting lost in Julio's emerald green eyes, and he's singing to Dave Wyman. Just forever awkward, that Brock. I tell you what, if you guys missed any part of that conversation, you'll be able to find it after the show on the podcast page at seattlesports.com. Meanwhile, how did Logan Gilbert evolve into the all-star caliber pitcher that he is today? We're going to catch up with his pitching coach, Randy Sullivan, is going to join us next with Wyman and Bob at Seattle Sports on 710.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans? With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Riereka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund returning 9% has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit legacyg.com. That's legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires private postponed auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate Greg Nunn from Nunn Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office, and I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. Nunn Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs have informed Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith that they will use the franchise tag on him. This, according to sources speaking with Adam Schefter. The move will effectively keep Smith off the free agent market, and by franchising Smith, the Chiefs are obligated to offer him a one-year deal worth around $23.4 million. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are reinstating Super Bowl winning former head coach John Gruden into the team's Ring of Honor. They made that announcement today. The former ESPN Monday Night Football analyst was removed from the Ring of Honor in 2021 when leaked emails to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal revealed racist, misogynistic, and anti-gay comments. At the time, the Bucs said Gruden's actions, quote, went against our core values as an organization.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Wyman and Bob.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Dave Wyman and Bob Stelton.
Well, spring training is well underway. We cannot wait to get out there next week, watch the Mariners up close and personal. One of the things we love to do is watch individual pitchers, and most specifically Logan Gilbert. Nobody goes about his business the way Logan Gilbert does, with his bag of tricks, his bag of toys out there, and just works harder than anybody. And a man who knows that better than anybody is with us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. He is the CEO of the Florida Baseball Armory out there in Florida, and works with Logan every single offseason. Randy Sullivan is with us. How are you, man?
Doing great.
Hey,
how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're going to be out there next week, and it's always a time of optimism, and you're out there in the good weather, and it's just fun to watch. And I'm curious, I joke about the bag of tricks that Logan has. How does he run those things by you, or are you somebody that suggests different devices for him? It's something that, has become legend with him.
Well, a lot of them we kind of invented here, okay, because we kind of took an unorthodox approach to player development and kind of had to kind of carve our own path and figure out new ways to do things. And Logan was one of the forerunners in that. He came to us probably when he was, I think, 15 years old, and we had just things just kept adding to the bag of tricks, and it's all just equipment that he uses as tools to help him kind of feel a different movement. And he's collected them all over the years. As Logan is wont to do, he's found his unique way of doing things, and he's taken some of them and then made them his own and used them in his own special way.
Hey, Randy, tell us, did he visit you this year? And then, what kind of things, because you said you've been working with him since he's 14 years old. So, what kind of new things? Is there something new every year that you add to that bag?
Well, he comes in every year in the off season, works really hard. He's sort of the model for all of our young college guys and the emerging pro guys that work out in the off season here. As you get to kind of be a premier athlete, you sometimes start to cut corners and decide that you need to do this and not that. And, go home early because you got family commitments and things. But Logan, we have to run him out of the place every time he comes. He's here. he spends like an 8-hour day here, and we have to send him home. And so, in the past 3 or 4 years, every year in the off season, it's been a new pitch that he wanted to play with, right? And I think this year we didn't add any new pitches because I think PitchCom ran out of buttons. So, so he's really been working on refining the stuff he has. A splitter we added a couple years ago, and it was incredible. We refined his slider a few years ago. That got better. He is really working hard on fastball variability and command and making sure that he can run a 2-seam and, carry a 4-seam and make his cutter a real cutter. And so he has 3 different fastballs that he can work with. And then all the other off-speed stuff. And, of course, his splitter and slider are devastating pitches. And he spent some time working on the curveball. So no real new toys this year or no stuff in his bag. But he has worked hard on refining his stability on his lead leg. He sometimes tends to kind of find himself spinning off the mound and loses a little bit of command that way. And he worked real hard on learning to control stopping his pelvis from spinning so he can get even more extension than he already has and be a little more consistent in the zone and get rid of those sort of every once in a while, oh my goodness, what happened on that pitch kind of pitches, So just refining his stuff, man. He's just relentless on it. He just never, ever stops working and never is satisfied with where he is. And so it's a pleasure to watch him because, I can imagine, I've never even dreamed of being at the level that he's at, but you can imagine that success would get to you and you get complacent, like, yeah, okay, I got it. I made it. I don't have to work quite as hard. But there's a few guys that they make it to the big leagues and they want to be in the bigger leagues. They want to be even better, right? They don't just settle for, hey, I reached the finish line. They realize that there's no finish line. Logan's one of those. He'll never stop trying to get better.
Well,
that's fun to watch.
That's the least surprising thing to hear ever, because when we see him out there at spring training, he's the last guy out there on the field doing his thing, and everybody else has already showered and left, and he's still out there. Ichiro's out there too. We got to give him credit, but it's just, his work ethic is off the charts. I'm curious, and for the listeners that aren't aware of exactly what you do, does Logan come to you and say, hey, I want to work on a split finger, and then you work on the grip with him and you work on mechanics with him and you show him video, or what's your role with Logan?
Yeah, well, it started back when he was 15 years old. He came in saying his elbow was hurt and he couldn't throw more than 1 inning. He was, I don't know if your audience knows the story about what a great person he and his whole family are, but Logan came to us receiving scholarship offers from Division I programs, but because he would pitch and travel ball and throw an inning and it was electric. And he was tall and lanky and they saw projectability. But his family came in, his dad said, look, we can't in good faith accept the scholarship when we know that he can only throw 1 inning at a time. And we don't want to get to school and not be able to deliver the product that they think they signed on. And I'm like, well, first of all, who does that, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to first work on getting him healthy. Like, let's move differently so you're not putting so much stress on your elbow. That went away. And then we've, various times through his career, we've helped him work through things. When he was at Stetson, we went up to the Cape Cod League and really went off one summer. Was the number 2 ranked prospect coming out. So when he came back for that fall, they kind of shut him down. He didn't throw much in the fall. And it was his draft year. And he'd been up to like 97 or 96. And he comes out the gate. He's the Friday night starter, and he's throwing every week. And he's struggling to get to 92. And they came in on a weekend, he threw on Friday night and on Sunday after their game. He came in. We had a sort of emergency session. I looked at him mechanically. I'm like, Logan, everything looks good. And then it occurred to me that, it was his draft year, and so he's a human being. And so obviously there'd be stress. Like if I don't perform well, it's going to cost my family money and my draft stock is going to drop. And so we just talked a lot about like, hey, how about this? How about you just immerse yourself in the joy of one last season with your buddies, and just have a great time because you're going to be good. And I think that once he did that and kind of released the stress of it all, they had a great year. His team went to a super regional, almost beat North Carolina, had a good run, probably the best season in Stetson's history. And that was the year he got drafted, and this stuff ticked back up. So sometimes it's just sort of being an emotional sounding board for him. everybody needs that a little bit, and he just needs to kind of every once in a while touch base. But when he comes here in the offseason and says, I want to learn a new pitch, the first thing I think is, okay, Logan, the answer to every, probably isn't a new pitch. I mean, we got a lot of pitches, right? But a couple of years ago, he wanted to add the splitter. And so he started playing with it, and Pete Woodworth came out to visit him, and he asked me what I thought about it. I go, I don't know, man. He's been healthy. I'm a little worried about, a new pitch, maybe changing dynamics in his arm and leading to some sort of injury. And Woody was sort of on board with that. And then we watched him throw it, and we're like, well, heck, we can't not throw that. That has to be thrown. It was so good. So we said, all right, we're going to throw that. But another good thing, we help him with pitch grips and things like that. But honestly, the grip is really important, but also stability in the movement from start to finish, making sure you can't even begin to manipulate grips until the foundation is solid. And so we work from the back leg forward and go, like, let's get the load right. Let's get the landing right. Let's get the trunk rotation right. And then let's get to that authentic extension. And then we can start to really make pitches do whatever we want. So he works on that a lot. And then he starts playing with grips, and we use TrackMan, edge of trunks. We have a really, really elite pitching lab here. We have ground force mount, Newton force, ground force mount, TrackMan data. We use motion capture. We use Edgertronics cameras, and put it all together. But the best part about it is that when he's around here in the off season, we have a lot of other pros that are hanging around, and they just start talking to each other. When he was trying to learn a splitter, and then the next year was trying to learn a sinker, a two-seamer, we actually happen to have had a former client of ours named Chin-Ming Wang, who pitched for the Yankees several years ago, and had one of the best two-seamers ever, sinkers ever. And it was kind of neat. This fantastic former major leaguer is in there working with Logan on his two-seam grip and his split grip to get him to get it to move the way he wants. And so other pros kind of help each other. Our staff is incredible at helping guys problem solve, and it's just a lot of experimentation. And, Logan is notorious. He's always thrown a lot since the time he was a young guy. And so he throws a lot. In fact, when the Mariners send their coaches out, when Woody comes out, or a couple of years ago, manager comes out to watch him, he kind of throws a little mini bullpen so he doesn't get in trouble. He keeps it under like 60, 70 pitches. But there's be days when he's out there on the mound experiment with pitches, just throwing them over and over again, and we'll walk away and he'll still be over there looking at all. He knows how to run the tech, and so he'll just take over the lab by himself and kind of just play until he figures some stuff out. And so it's been pretty cool to watch him.
Well, Randy, with all the toys that he has and all the different things that he does, how much of it is for performance and how much of it is for health? I mean, because he's been a very healthy pitcher, but are they pretty much all about just keeping him healthy?
Look, it is, it kind of harkens me back to the age-old question we get a lot in player development, like which is more important, velocity or command? And the answer is yes. And also arm health and also nasty secondary stuff. And in our approach, it's all the same. It all hinges on how you move. Like the quality of the movement dictates how healthy you are. The quality of the movement dictates how hard you throw, how accurate you are, and whether you can get out there to be able to manipulate baseballs and make them do what you want them to do. You can imagine if you're moving down the mound, and let's say your pelvis spins like a merry-go-round, and you head off toward second base if you're a right-hander, toward the second baseman, you're going to release the ball further back behind your head, and then it's going to be hard to make pitches do anything. You can't make a curveball go down before it goes up if you release behind your head. So you can't make a sweeper go sideways if you release it behind your head. So you got to get the pelvis to stop and get out to that authentic extension. So all the stuff he uses, it's for health and performance. It's everything, because it's just refining the quality of the movement. And we have like 8 variables that we look at. We don't really get lost in mechanics. We have 8 universal principles, rules of movement that no matter your style, I don't care what it looks like, you have to meet these rules. And Logan's really familiar with those. He knows them inside and out, and he's gotten to the point now where he can analyze his own movement and say, oh, wait a minute, this is what's happening. Now, where do I need to work? I don't need to work on my mechanics. I need to work on refining that principle, that one big rock, And then the other stuff kind of emerges out of it. And so it's a little bit of everything for him. And it's, the other thing that we noticed after a couple years of pro baseball was that Logan is really diligent about his work ethic and his routine. He does. If you tell him to do something 10 times, he'll do it 20. You know, and he won't miss anything. But what we noticed is that for the first couple of years, stuff would be really great until the All-Star break, and then it would start to fade. And it seemed like by the end of the year, we were just kind of hanging on, right? And so what we realized is that, you know, if you do the same thing over and over again, your body gets bored with the stimulus. And so we had to come up with a big toolbox full of things to do that all come to the same outcome. So let's say his deal this year is he's working on not spinning off the mound and holding his pelvis stable to rotate his trunk through. Well, let's say we might have 3 throwing drills and 6 things to do in the gym that are going to help him, you know, learn and refine that. Well, after about a month, he'll call us and say, all right, it's been 30 days. I need to do something else. And so we have to go, all right, we'll take 2 of the drills away and 3 of the things in the gym. And here's a toolbox full of things, Logan. You pick which ones you want to do, and you can add. And so throughout the season, we constantly churn the pot and stir it up to make sure that his body doesn't get bored with the stimulus. It'd be just like if you got in a hot bathtub and then it wasn't hot anymore. You know, you just kind of got used to it, right? It's sort of, we just got to constantly change the stimulus. And so the training stimulus remains fresh. We're still finding different ways to get to the same outcome, but we're not doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's been pretty cool to help him. And he takes a lot of ownership in that too. And that gives him agency and, hey man, I'm not just being told what to do. I get to choose from a basket of things. So.
Hey, Randy, just is a guy that's has this relationship that developed starting at 15 years old with this guy. I'm watching him work his way up through the minors and through college into the big leagues and now to an all-star. And we're out here debating whether he should be the opening day starter. He's the ace. Is he not the ace? I mean, just to have him reach that level of respect and regard, I would imagine for you has got to be awfully satisfying. And I'm wondering, is there a trickle-down effect? Does his success then get people saying, "Hey, well, tell me about the Florida baseball armory. What do you do there? Hey, can you hook me up?" What's it been like for you?
Yeah, Logan's dad has probably referred 30 players to and so it's been great. He's a big advocate, and Keith is just a sweet human. He's just a great man, and it has been like, honestly, I raised 3 sons through baseball. 2 played in college. 1 went on to play with the Nationals in the minor leagues for a couple of years, and watching him emerge the way he has and grow and develop is like watching one of my own kids. It's really, really cool. I get chills every time I see him. I'm so proud of him. And not just the fact that he's a big league baseball player and an all-star, but such a great person. Like, you can't help but root for the kid. He's just he's not kidding. He's a dude. He's just a great guy. Like, you want him to succeed because he's so kind and generous and giving to everybody. He is, you know, he's certainly committed to his process and driven, but he is just the most giving person you've ever met in your life. And you just love being around him. You just love being around him. And so it is so much fun. And then, you know, obviously having people know that he came here from an early age and has been with us for a long time helps us attract more players and more people that become interested. So it's a really useful, it's really useful in that way. And it's, you know, we're humbled when he even acknowledges that he worked here, and thrilled to be a part of the journey with him. It's so cool. You get to live sort of vicariously through him and experience all the joys. And he's a super guy. He's really committed to his process. I'll tell you a quick story. My staff and I, every once in a while in this, you know, as the summer winds down, we'll go visit some of our pro guys. And we flew out to Houston, me, my business partner, and some of our instructors at the end of the year to watch him pitch against the Astros. And we got there the night before, and he was signing autographs and all that stuff. And he waved to us, brought us down, talked to us for about 30 minutes. And we were like, hey, maybe tomorrow morning we could go get some breakfast or something somewhere and hang out. And he said, well, you know, I'm starting tomorrow. And he said, when I have to pitch the next day, I have to make sure I get 11 hours of sleep and I have to make sure I eat only the right things. And so I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be. And we're like, you know, absolutely, you know, more proud than disappointed. Like, wow, really committed to that process. So just, you know, like, hey, we flew all the way out here. Great to see you. We'll come to the game tomorrow night. And no disrespect to us, or it was like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, you need to stick with your process. This is what you're here for. And so it made me more proud than anything, just that he was still that committed to what he's doing, you know, without wavering at all.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you didn't say, Randy, you know I can't go. Come on. You know what my routine is.
The intonation was that. I was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, silly me. What was I thinking? I forgot. I actually wasn't sure he was pitching. I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I didn't mean to. Should never brought it up. Yeah.
Hey, Randy, how many guys do you have that are Major League Baseball level clients?
Oh gosh, over the years we've probably had dozens. I mean, back in the day when Justin Verlander. Remember when Verlander had a really bad year, had come off a hernia injury, and his velocity had dropped down to like 90 miles an hour for a season, and then he came to us. He pitched 85 miles an hour his last spring training game. And I think it was 2016. And he came in and said, I'm in trouble. I'm supposed to learn to pitch now because my velocity's down, and I don't want to do that. I just want to throw hard. So we worked with him that season on helping him get it back. Now, it was at the beginning of it was like April. I'm like, Justin, you should have come in November. And he said, well, listen, I'll compartmentalize. I'll only compete. And he would send me videos from his backyard. And the first 5 outings that year, if you look back on it, he was 0-5 with a 12 ERA. And I was like, oh, no, I've made a terrible mistake. He'll tell everybody it was my fault. And I should have made him wait till November. But then I looked up in June. He was still in 98 and in the 9th inning with a no-hitter. And I was like, wow, cool. And then he came back the following year. And then once he got to Houston, we didn't hear from much anymore. But we've worked with guys like that. There's the Netflix documentary about us. Our journey with Chen-Ning Wang, helping him make it back to the big leagues at 36 years old. We have a bunch of guys that are right there on the cusp right now. We worked with a Reds pitcher named Lyon Richardson, who's, he'll touch 102, and he's going to probably have a great year this year. We have Colin Poche was with the Rays. He's a free agent now, and he worked with us for many, many years. We've worked with, Kyle Gibson. Oh, my goodness, how could I not think about Kyle Gibson? Kyle Gibson and Jake Odorizzi both had, all-star seasons after they worked with us, and Kyle has probably referred 25 pitchers to us as well, a lot of big leaguers, because he came to us with shoulder pain, and we helped him get over it and has never looked back. He's been, he'll touch base and come out about once a year, and we'll work remotely and stuff like that. So there's a lot of them, and we got a lot of guys right now. It's been really cool because now, we started this thing around 2008, I guess, and there are 2 things that have happened really nicely. One is that we're starting to get these guys that grew up with us, kids that we trained since they were 10, 12 years old, that are on the cusp of making it to the big leagues. We have a reliever named Camden Manassi that played at Wake Forest that pitched yesterday in the big league game, did really well. We have Colton Gordon, I think, is starting with the Astros today. He was at Central Florida. We have other guys in AA and AAA. They're just on the brink of making it, and it's going to be so fun to watch them all. The problem is if they all get called up this year, I don't know how we're going to get to all the debuts because there's so many guys.
It's a good problem to have.
But it is, and it's just so fun because these kids started, our mantra around here is God doesn't make junk and human tissue doesn't have free will. You can become anything you want to become. And so we give them the process, we give them the roadmap, we help them along the way, and then just watch them grow. It's really, really fun. And when the ones that stick with it and stay the course through all the ups and downs and allow us the privilege of guiding them through it, it's just a joy to watch them achieve their dreams and change their lives. It's really, really cool. Really cool.
He's the CEO of the Florida Baseball Armory, and he's been working with Logan Gilbert since he was just a kid, 15 years old, and now look where he is today. Randy Sullivan has been our guest here with Wyman and Bob. Randy, as always, a great time talking to you, man. Really appreciate you taking some time with us, and we look forward to talking again. Thanks so much.
Can't wait. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
There you go, Randy.
Salk.
Randy Sullivan, everybody. If you guys missed any part of that, you can find it on the podcast page after the show. Meanwhile, add another name to the debate around the most important Mariner player this season. We'll get into that coming up next with Wyman and Bob at Seattle Sports on 710.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Dan Wilson, the skipper of this group, with us right now.
It's a really strong group. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to start this season with them and continue it through, because it's a really fun group, and it's a group that's been together for a while, and I think that's a huge benefit. There's not a lot of, down here in spring training, there's not a lot of, hey, nice to meet you, how's your family? Like, these guys know each other. We're starting from a different base, and we're going to get started on a good foot.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Swedish is the only CyberKnife center in the Pacific Northwest, and compared with other radiation treatments, which can sometimes last 6 to 9 weeks, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter. It's typically 5 days or less. CyberKnife's advanced robotic technology can track your slightest body movement during the procedure, adjusting in real time to deliver radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. And the vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and may continue normal activities during treatment. So CyberKnife offers curative cancer treatment while minimizing side effects and disruption to a patient's life. Also, the experienced CyberKnife team has helped advance the field with research protocols and published findings. And Swedish CyberKnife treats patients from all over Washington state. So if you, a friend, or a family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's Business Solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. It's just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Brock and Saul all this week from 6 to 10
on Seattle Sports.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When you're dealing with business owners and the idea that they owe money to the IRS and they feel like they might be letting their staff down, and it just spirals out of control.
One thing I see with businesses, it's really tough because they have employees and maybe they're having a difficult time with the cash flow of the business. Then unfortunately, what a business often does is they quit making their payroll tax deposits, which is really about the worst thing you could be doing. I mean, it's a telltale sign if you're doing that. Hey, get someone that can help you kind of look at your business and see if things can be changed. so that you can operate your business better and make those payroll tax deposits. Because let me tell you this, the IRS is on those right away.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, you have to call Greg Nunn of Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN, Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
Take your game day experience to the next level with a Mariner Suite. Suites are perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, client meetings, and that company outing you've been trying to plan for months. Enjoy first-class catering, VIP parking, custom setups for 14 to 400 people, and more, all with the help of a dedicated Mariners rep. Suites start at $125 per person, and season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve now at mariners.com/suites.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Text line is there for you at 866-979-3776, powered by Mac and Jack's Brewing Company. Coming up at 4 p.m., John Schneider, Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager, will be joining us live from the NFL Combine out there in Indianapolis. So make sure you stay tuned for that conversation coming your way. Always fun to catch up with John. And people will text in questions. Why didn't you ask him this? Why didn't you ask him that? You guys are free to text in any questions you think we should be asking him outside of the obvious. We're not going to ask them who they're drafting or how much money they're going to spend and how much are they going to offer this guy. How much are they going to? That's not how that works. So
it's kind of interesting. The Combine has become kind of more of an event than it used to be in years past.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I bring this up every year at the Combine. I remember very distinctly watching KJ Wright do drills, like coverage drills. And I'm like, man, look at this guy. He's all legs.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like he was running that fast, but he was. He was covering tons of ground. So, yeah, I used to watch it, and I was kind of the one guy, like, you're a nerd. Why are you watching the Combine? But now everybody's watching it. They're even, I think, selling tickets.
Oh, the cool kids are watching. Yeah, people go and watch it. And, yeah, why not? They can make money off of it, and they'll continue to do it, and more of it will be broadcast. So, yeah, that's it's turned into a big deal. Certainly a big deal. Meanwhile, the Mariners out there in spring training. We had a chance to catch up with Brock Heward earlier in the show. He's out there in Peoria trying not to run over old women, as he said.
Was he talking about inside with the cart, the shopping cart, or was
that's
he talking about
how
his
I took
car?
it.
Okay.
I don't think he was going to hit her with his car, I hope. But, yeah, I took it as him running into her with a car, which still would have been damaging.
Yeah.
Brock's a big dude. So we'll be out there next week. But talking about this team, and we're talking about, most important, who's going to be key. And you always have to remove Julio because he becomes the obvious answer. He's the star.
The most important.
Yeah, he's the one you're paying. He's the one you're marketing. He's the one propped up as the star. We asked our guy John Morosi about this, and he had, outside of Julio, an interesting answer.
I'll say Mitch Garver, and the reason is that while you could make an argument for any number of players, Garver was brought in a year ago to be a middle-of-the-order bat to effectively form the foundation, if not the foundation, then the middle or the heart of the order, the fulcrum, if you will, to be there with Polanco alongside what Cal Raleigh does, and certainly Julio. And it just didn't happen in year one. Did not happen. And for a team that we have seen this year not really be able to invest much in free agency, you do not have the luxury of missing.
Yeah, you can't miss. And they did on more than just Garver. You missed on, we never talk about it because he played the majority of the year in the minors, but you spent $5 million, which for this team is a lot of money, on Urias. And he was there for a hot minute and was so bad they sent him down to the minors. It was a $5 million investment that you whiffed on big time. Mitch Garver, a bigger investment financially. You whiffed on him. Polanco, same thing. So, yeah, Mitch Garver is, in his career, has been a productive guy who can do a lot of damage. He hit 31 home runs back in 2019 and hit for a good average, 273, 365 on base that year, and he did it in 93 games. So he didn't play a full season. He's the most he's ever played was last year, 114 games.
Yeah, and I'm looking at defensively, I guess, and Mike's asking the question, would it be better if he's just the DH? And, he caught a lot for for George Kirby, and they kind of built a little bit of a bond. But I was surprised to see that he caught 25 games. You know, that wasn't. I feel like that's not a whole ton, like where you have to go, hey, let's just make him the DH. There was some kind of connection clearly with Kirby there. But
remember, they moved him to backup catcher because they were trying to get his bat going and felt like, all right, he doesn't. Some guys don't function well when they're just the DH. They feel like they've got to be in the field. I know Nelson Cruz was a guy who wanted to play right field, just didn't feel comfortable when he's only in the game in the batter's box, and they were thinking that because they were trying to get his bat going, so that's when the idea of, all right, let's make him our backup catcher, because they had Zebi Savala as the backup catcher, and they said, well, we've got sunk cost here with Garver. Let's try to push another button and see if that ignites a fire here.
Well, and I think there's a difference between, I said only 25 games, but playing catcher, I mean, that taxes you a lot more than if you're playing right field.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're fielding every pitch and crouch down, you get dinged up. So, yeah, maybe that would be something that would be a little bit better. I don't know. What do you think his value as a backup catcher is? I mean, I think he's pretty solid.
I think he's just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as backup catchers go around the league,
I think he's just okay. I don't think he's great. I think he's
he didn't throw anybody out.
Yeah, he's not. I didn't think he was great at that. I didn't. Defensively, I thought he was just middling. I just think it was. Hey, we got to push every button here to try to get this guy going. We've invested a 2-year deal into this guy at $12 million per. We got to figure out a way to get that bat going. They didn't bring him over because he's a good backup catcher option. They brought him over to do some damage at the plate, and that wasn't happening. So I understood, hey, maybe he's one of those guys that has to be in the game in order to get the rhythm going at the plate. And
I feel like I would be. Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, just getting into the flow of the game. I mean, it's just, remember Cal, I mean, he hit that home run that put him in the playoffs. He wasn't starting that.
Yeah, it was pinch hitter.
Yeah. I mean, and not until the very end that they put him in. I don't see how you do that. So I understand players wanting to get kind of into the groove of the game.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works. If you're talking, you're not giving up a starting spot to him in order just to get the bat in the lineup. He's not hurting you at a position defensively just to get his bat in there and try to get him hot. So I'm looking at him going, okay, yeah, if he's doing spot duty, if it's once every 6 days, 5 days, he's going to catch Kirby, and Kirby's cool with it, and they have a rapport. Okay, if that's going to help, it didn't seem to do much, but I understood why it happened, and they're still trying to get value out of the guy. I'm more curious about the other Mitch. How does he fit? Because I don't know how he fits. He's not going to be a right fielder. He could certainly, give Robles a day off. But Robles is your right fielder, and your left fielder is Arozarena, and your center fielder is Julio. I don't know where you put Mitch Haniger other than he's going to be your DH, but you've got Garver as your DH, so you're paying both these guys by Mariner standards a lot of money, and at least Garver, you've got the backup catcher option. With Haniger, I don't know other than he'll give guys a day off in the outfield, I guess. Yeah,
and if he's spending a lot of time in right field, that'll be a problem. I feel like, because that means Robles isn't performing, and I can understand why they would keep him and have him there as a good backup, because we really don't know with Robles. I mean, he is, as you said, the most curious player. Maybe the biggest question mark. I don't know. Maybe in a good way, though. At least we're curious about him coming off what was a tremendous impact in 77 games. Where we're curious about the Mitches, because can they be worse? You know what I mean? So it's a different level of curiosity with Robles. Like, man, can he be that guy through 162, or how close can he be to that? Versus, can these other two guys just be representative? Well, and also, don't you think Robles has kind of shed the expectations? Because early on, he was supposed to be. He was looked at as a bust. He was looked at as a bust. That's why he was available. That's why the Mariners they're kicking the tires on him. Yeah. And they signed him to a very, very reasonable deal in the extension. So for him, no pressure. It's like, hey, whatever. I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting, as you've said, the 77 games that he, his numbers 30 stolen bases.
Yeah, one caught stealing. It was a big one, but it was just one. All right, coming up, the stage is officially set for a whirlwind free agency process for the Seahawks. We'll tell you what that's about coming up next with Wyman and Bob. Seattle Sports on 710.
Brock and Salk, live in Peoria.
Our opportunity to sit down with the catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Is this the ceiling, or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You know, you look at like striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. You know, even the catching side of it, you know, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and you also don't want to lose the things you're good at.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Ewart here. And as a former college and professional player and quarterback in particular, the years of wear and tear and some of those hits left my knee and some of my body in some constant pain. On and off the field, the weight room, all those heavy squats and all of it. In fact, my knee was really bothering me last year. That's why I decided to try stem cell injection therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson at Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine over there in Kirkland. And really, it was an awesome decision. With Dr. Dan, the procedure itself was so quick and easy. In and out, same day. Next day, I'm out watching football practice, a baseball game, and the staff was absolutely A+. And my knee, well, it's a whole lot better now, and I'm back to squatting and enjoying a much better quality of life. Call Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD, with Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. Over 30 years of experience. No one, and I mean no one, has more experience in pain medicine techniques. You can reach him at 425-823-4000. That's 425-823-4000 or DanielNelsonMD.com.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at EmeraldQueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I'm Chris Davis, former King County prosecutor and founder of the Davis Law Group in Seattle. If you've been injured in a crash caused by impaired or drunk drivers, there are special considerations that need to be taken to protect your legal rights. Davis Law Group's team of investigators and lawyers know how to properly investigate DUI crashes and identify all parties who might be legally responsible for your injuries and damages. Call Davis Law Group at 206-888-8888 or get my free book at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, and outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Wyman and Bob.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
NFL Combine is well underway. Here's your guy, Jack Sawyer, defensive lineman for Ohio State, running, I don't know what you call this drill here, Dave, but they're picking up towels and placing them down, running around hoops.
Figure eight. Yeah, we watched... I remember the guy that stood out was Puna Ford.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy that big to be able to turn the corner like that. But, yeah, it's about body lean as you turn that corner. You see guys that are just able to get that shoulder in there and get it underneath where the tackle's trying to block them and get the edge.
Yeah. It's who was the other who was the guy who was going, you cheated. You're cheating. Because they were catching. Remember, they would chase one guy. He left here. He went to the Raiders. Was it Benson? Oh, Mayoa. Yeah, I think that's who it was. Anyway, interesting watching the combine, watching the drills going on with these guys. And
text in if you remember his name. He's from somewhere up north, up here. I think Ferndale.
Who is the Jags' current coach, Dave?
Some guy named Liam Odom.
Yes.
Something like that.
Correct.
Cohen.
Cohen. There we go. Liam.
Meanwhile, according to Jordan Schultz, the Seahawks are allowing Rayshawn Jenkins to seek a trade. How about that? He was somebody we looked at, when you looked at Spotrac numbers and looked at cap hits, that his seemed pretty punitive for a guy that was essentially benched in favor of Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. Right? He did have that big return, but overall, that's a lot of money. For especially a team, you consider them being over the cap and looking at, what his cap hit is going to be, which is $7.9 million. 7.9. So, yeah, I get why they would allow that. I don't know what the market will be for him, but that's not a surprising move to me.
Yeah, no, it's not. He's somebody that they took. I put him kind of in the same category as the two backers that they traded away, and that's the middle of the field safeties, and that's kind of where Mike McDonald builds his defense. And he had the one play. I'm trying to remember who that was against, where he had the 102-yard. That was against the Giants, 102-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, he didn't make a whole lot of plays. So yeah, I mean, I think they got other ideas. Didn't have a pick, a couple of tackles for loss, but kind of uneventful.
Yeah, and that's one we've been targeting, in looking at the cap hits that would be likely, whether it's a cap casualty, whether it's a restructure, what have you. So they're going to allow him to seek a trade, and then if that doesn't work, we'll see if they just release him. Just looking at the numbers ahead of him, Noah Fant is somebody I'm still waiting to see what happens there. Draymond Jones, who represents the fourth biggest cap hit on this team, right at $25.645 million. Obviously, Tyler, DK, and Gino all ahead of him. We expect something to happen, whether it's an extension, a restructure, or a release in some cases. So a lot of room to maneuver because they just put out the new salary cap number, $279.2 million. And according to Spotrac, Seahawks are at negative $7 million in cap space, which is the fourth worst currently in the NFL.
Well, they were in the teens, weren't they?
Depending on which site you looked at, they were as high as like 24 or something, 24 above, and then some had them at 17. It was kind of all over the place. So,
does anybody really worry about the salary cap?
I don't, because like we talked about before, I don't remember us ever having a conversation saying, man, if they could have afforded this guy, or they had to let go of this guy because of salary. I don't remember, wringing our hands over a move they made because of the salary cap, or didn't make.
No, I don't think so either. Now, maybe you go back and look at like, oh, they sure could have used this guy that they had to, maybe like, remember when when Jaron Reed they tried to restructure him and he went to Kansas City. That was, but that wasn't necessarily any kind of a salary cap move or anything like that. So, yeah, I feel like they've always gotten the players that they wanted. I mean, that was never a problem. As far as, was it prohibitive them signing somebody that they really wanted? Maybe, because we don't know, who they're trying to get. But, yeah, they always find a way to do that. So now I would say this, that, without Matt Thomas there, and it is a little bit of a change, but, the same guys at Joey. I'm trying to remember Joey's last name that is doing the salary cap.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm blanking on it. But anyway, it's a little bit different what they're doing. Obviously a different style. And so, but yeah, just it never has, at least that we've heard, it's never been a problem.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe we're more in tune with it in baseball because we see guys that are going for this price out there, and the Mariners are not even part of the discussion when it comes to some of these players. And there's an express budget. It's a self-imposed budget, whereas everybody's functioning under the same number when we're talking about the NFL. And I don't. If somebody's got an example, text it in 866-979-3776, powered by Mac and Jack's Brewing Company. But
Joey Lane, by the way.
Joey Lane.
My apologies, Joey.
He's the salary cap guy for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't recall a moment or a player that they had to release because of salary that you felt like, oh no, like you felt bad about it. I feel like anybody they've let go, you kind of felt like, yeah, that's based on performance, not really. Or you like him, he's not bad for the roster, but at the rate, the cap hit, like Rayshon Jenkins, I like him on the roster. I think he's great depth to have, but I don't like him at that cap hit, especially when you're talking about a team over the cap. So you start looking for the obvious areas to cut. Yeah, that makes sense. So long-winded answer to your question, I don't recall cap ever being an issue for this team. So them being $7 million over, fourth worst in the league, okay. They'll be cap compliant. They're going to find a way to get there and make some room to make the moves they need to make.
Well, and the other thing too is that this is our best guess. I think Spotrac.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
they said, didn't he tell us? I feel like I'm always within $1 million or $2 million or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be maybe it's $5 million. I don't know, but I think that the thing about Spotrac that I've always appreciated is whenever we talk to Michael Giannetti, who runs it and came up with the whole idea, he's like, look, this is my best estimate. And he knows that nobody really knows exactly what's going on because, number one, he's not only they're following different sports, but also as far as 32 teams, they don't know exactly what's on their books.
Yeah. So it's I'm not worrying about the cap. It'd be great if we heard, hey, they're one of the teams in the best position and they've got $25 million to spend and what? Okay. I just assume they're gonna get there. If they need, hey, we need $15 million worth of room, they're gonna find a way to get $15 million worth of room, whatever it is, whatever.
Well, and I based on the questions that we've asked them, we haven't had a lot of texts of people saying, "Hey, ask him about the salary cap," because having heard what his answers are, it's not the greatest question in the world.
Yeah,
because
and
it's like,
he couldn't
be there.
Yeah, and he also couldn't act less concerned.
Right.
He's literally, doomsday. He's kind of joking
He
about it.
was
So
making fun of it. Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of that jokester, John Schneider is going to be joining us next live from the Combine. He's going to tell us about all the deals he's working on. He's going to give us all the details of all the deals. No, we'll see get a read on what's happening down there. Talk with the president of football operations of your Seattle Seahawks and general manager John Schneider. Coming up next with Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports on 710.
The